the buy. Was the buy expected? Well, if you've been following our series, I would say yes. Um, and one of the main reasons we can see that the buy was expected was because of our triangle defense. All right. Let me let me show you guys this real quick. So as we've been talking about, our triangle defense is based off of a strong area of supply or demand. Okay. Strong area of supply or demand and an established trend line. Okay. So if we look right here, we can see that this was a strong area. What was this, Friday? This was a strong area. Okay, that we were sitting on right here. And if we look right here, we have our established trend line right here. Let's zoom on in. All right, there we go. Now, here's the thing, okay? When the news came out, right, where were we sitting? We were sitting at demand, okay? At demand. We were sitting right here at demand. Well, this right here, right, is um one of the things that you're going to see when you begin to trade ORS is that, news is usually something that people try to stay out of, right? But news for us typically just quickly facilitates the move that we were anticipating in the first place, right? And you're gonna see this happen more and more than ever, right? As you start to really leverage the system. We could really see we were sitting on that demand level. And as we said, what are the first things that we're looking for? We're looking for the respect of the horizontal structure. Okay. Respect of the horizontal structure. And that's what we had right in here. We had the respect of the horizontal structure. And you can see here, we bring in our pillars. Excuse me. You can see right in here what began to happen. So first, let's put ourselves on the correct time frame. There we go. So I want you to notice something. Okay. Notice that the market, right, began to give us what? Divergence, right? Divergence at these lows. And one of the things that I haven't talked about much in this series, but as we begin to, you know, look at this MACD is really the momentum indicator here. Um, what it is it essentially is allowing us to see the volume, okay, the volume. And one of the things that we could see, price went lower in price, but volume went higher, meaning when I say higher, closer to our zero line. Okay. That right there was a clear indication that the market was struggling, right? Struggling to actually move beyond this point. And that's one of the things when you get the right time frame for the triangle, it gives us information. Okay. That's the cool thing about the triangle is it begins to give us information. Now, in this case, right, the information that we picked up on and um was really, let me show you here. You still waking up? Now this feels very early because this is 3 a.m. In Hawaii. And now I am I got on I was like on Cali time, but I was also like on Hawaii time too. It got a little weird. But I want to show you something here. Um this right here
We're going to keep it going
is
just a couple
where
minutes
we
here.
want to see the
Definitely,
divergence.
ask any
So today,
questions or
um,
participate in the
I want
chat.
to talk about
Be
our
greatly
triangle defense, but I
appreciated.
want to talk
We're
about
going to keep
two
things going.
types
So
of triangles,
today,
okay?
we're looking
Two
at
types
our
of
triangle
triangles, and I
defense.
haven't done
And
this really in a boot camp. This comes from our
what I want
Mastering
to
the Triangle
do is
Defense
recap
series.
kind of where we
Now,
left off
that's
the
for the
other
people that
day. And
really
then
want to dive in,
we're going to
okay?
keep on
That's
going.
for the people
Keep
that
on going.
really want to dive in and take things to the next level.
Let me share my
Um,
screen.
I will caution you, it is an exhaustive series, right? It's fully loaded. Okay. So it's not the series for the beginner, right? But it is the series for those that really
Right.
want to lock in on the triangle
So you
defense.
guys
Some of
should
you
be able to see
guys
my
that have
screen
watched
now. If
it
you can,
um,
give it two
in the
seconds
past,
and
I
it should
encourage
be
you
there.
to maybe
All
revisit
right.
it,
Now,
especially
let's take a look at
if
some
you are
things here.
if it's been a
So
while, right?
if you
You're going to
remember, we
be a
talked about
new
our triangle
trader
defense
looking at that
being made
information
up
than you
of
were
two
the last time you
components.
saw it. Okay.
Number
And
one
so I just
is a
encourage you
strong
to check it
area.
out because it'll remind you
Ooh,
of some things. And
that's a
so
cool little shortcut to
that's
sell.
a whole nother series. Right
That's cool. I
now,
never did that before. What I do?
our summer boot
So
camp won't
shift
go
S
in
and
nearly as
shift
much detail as that
probably
did.
B.
But
Dope.
I do want to bring
Shift
this
S and
piece
shift
into it.
B.
Okay.
Pull up
Because
this
there are two types of triangles. Let's
shortcuts
talk
to
about
oh, there it is
the
right there.
market again. If you remember
Shortcuts to buying
earlier
and
on the
selling.
series, right? We
I didn't know
talked
there were
about
shortcuts on here. That's good to know.
how the market moves. The market moves in waves,
So
right?
we
Now,
talked about
typically,
an
you really
established
just
trend
have to
line,
ask yourself
right?
two
Established trend
questions.
line
Is the
being
market moving
one of
in
the
what we
things.
would
But
call
even before the
an
established
impulse
trend line,
trend, right? We're
it's
just going
a
to say an
strong
impulse.
area of supply.
Are we moving in an impulse
Strong
format
area of supply
or are we moving in a
or demand.
corrective format?
Okay.
Okay.
Strong area of supply or
And
demand.
this is
This is
really the
really the
key. This
piece
is
here.
where I see
Now,
most
I have a
students
wonderful
who
wife,
don't
and
have
I remember
um,
one day I was
the
talking to
success
her
they want to have
about
from utilizing the
something that was
system.
taking
This is
place
where
with
they get it
with
wrong.
the students.
Okay.
And
It's
I
this
said,
plus what I've
babe,
been saying.
this is kind of
It's
what's
the supply
happening.
and demand zones,
And she
right? It's the
said,
strong level,
oh, so you're
right?
just out
So
there trading bees,
this is
right?
the foundational
And I was
piece, the
like,
strong
that's
level of
actually kind
supply
of
or
funny.
demand,
And
right? And then failing to
I was student,
recognize this,
but she was
or
right.
failing
And
to
what did
maybe
she
you
mean
recognize
when
it,
she said
but you're
trading bees?
choosing
Well,
to
what would
it's how you
happen
use
is
it. Okay.
I
And
would
so this right
see,
here is
let's
key. Now,
say
when the
someone do
market
this,
makes
right? Let's say they went
when the
ahead
market is
and
moving,
they
it moves like
decided
this. Boom, boom,
to
right?
do this.
This type of thing, even in a
And
correction, it's
they
doing
put a
similar
trap
things.
on like
Okay.
this.
You're seeing that 1, 2, 3 pattern. And this is what you have to train your eyes to see. It's
And
very
then
important because
they
every
did
triangle
this, they put their
begins
trend line
from
on,
this pattern. Okay.
and
Now the
then they
pattern could
pressed sell,
continue,
right? When
right?
the market
It
broke
could
through that trend
continue,
line.
but that's
And
the
what happened
overall
a lot of
pattern.
times is that the
Now,
market,
for
instead of
the
going away,
impulse, okay.
we wondered,
Now remember, you don't have to be, I've said
ended
this
up,
before, you don't have to be
down and then
an
continuing. And
Eliotist
so
to be
this is what we
good
meant by
at
trading bees.
ORS.
We'll speak
Okay,
about how
but you do
the
need to
triangle
understand
works. The
the
triangle
basics of
is
Elliott wave theory. Okay, because it's tied up in what we do.
now
Okay,
what she meant
so
by
the very
trading
basics,
bees
as we talked about, right? An impulse wave, right, moves in five. Okay, impulse is a type of motive wave. It moves in five.
biggest
Okay.
piece to this.
Our corrective wave moves
Strong
in
area.
3.
It's not the established code.
One,
It's not the CJ. It's
2,
not
3. That we call ABC. Okay. Now, there's different formats. It gets really crazy. The corrections have like 5 different ways that they correct. And within those 5 major categories has different ways that they do each of those major categories. So it can get very crazy on this side. That's what makes Elliott Waves hard, is really the correct side. Okay. But the cool thing about ORS is it helps us to simplify the structure. Okay. And this is the piece that I want to, it helps us to simplify the structure. Now, let me actually just expound on that real quick. Just trying to figure out which way do I go to emphasize this. But let's expound on that right now.
The most important piece.
All right.
To the triangle.
Let's look over here.
Strong area of supply. The most important piece.
So let's come let's come right here. Okay.
The most important piece
Right here. Now, someone right here would ask, okay, Chuck, well, what do you think? Is this an impulse or correction? And I would say right now, I don't know, right? There might be some clues to what it may be based on some other things that I see, but overall, I don't know. What I do know is that this is a starting place, and so far, this is the finishing place. And so, what I'm able to do, let's say I was like, what I'm able to do is I'm able to look at this and make sense of it. Right? I'm able to look at this and make sense of it. Why? Or how? By actually identifying the beginning and identifying the end. And if I know the rules, right? If I know the rules that from the beginning, I need to see one cross in the direction of the trend. So right here, here's one cross right here, there's one cross, there's 2 crosses, and that's 3 crosses, 3 stripes per out, okay? That's too low. So I know I would need to change time frame. Let's go up to the 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I got 1 cross right here, 1 cross right here. That's 2 mini crosses. I got 1 cross in the direction of the trend. Right here, I got 1 cross right here, and 1 cross right here. That's 2 mini crosses. I move right on up. Here I am at the 4 minute. I got 1 cross and no other crosses. So the cool thing about the triangle is it begins to set ourselves up, right? We're able to look at look at the structure, and from this point find the correct time frame to deal with this trend. Right? Now we have our triangle. Okay? Now remember, how do I draw? I need to have 2 connecting points. I need to have 2 connecting points. So I can look at my highs. So the first thing I would say on a downtrend, identify your highs. Right? So where are my highs? So I got a high up here. Right? I got a high right here. Right here. Right? I got a high right here. So can I connect it like this? If I say I want to connect this high, this high, would that work? No, it doesn't work. Why? Because all of my highs must be inside of this triangle on the left side. We can see this high right here is outside, my high right here is outside. So no, that doesn't work. Right? All of our highs must be on the inside of the triangle. But I'm gonna say it right now. So on the left side. Could I do this? Nope, because while this one is in and that one is in, this one's out. Okay, so that wouldn't work. Here we go. Could I do this, right, that connects these two? Well,
So
these
guys,
two would be in,
here's a
this would
high,
be
here's a
in,
high,
but this
here's
would
a
be
high.
out. So that wouldn't work.
All
And
of
could
my
I
highs
do
are
this?
on the left
Nope.
side.
Go like this.
Right.
Everything would
So
be in.
this high.
So how do I know
Right.
whether to do this
I'm sure we're not.
or I have another option, which would be I can do this.
Almost sure. Here we go.
And all of the highs
So
are
these
on the
highs
inside.
inside.
Okay. Highs on the inside.
Inside of our triangle.
So how do I know which one
So this
to
will
do?
work.
Well,
This is my rule
the way
of
this
thumb,
works,
right? These two highs, right? If we connected it here
is
and here, this
our
could work.
50 MA
But
acts
also,
as a
if I connected
dynamic
this to
trend
this,
line.
this will
Okay.
work too.
Once you get on the correct time frame,
Okay, so we
your
can see
50
both of
MA
these
will act as a
are workable
dynamic trend line.
scenarios, right?
Okay.
The
And
question
here
is
it
which
is.
one? I actually
Here's
like
our
this one better.
50.
This
Now, the
one
cool
I
thing
like a
about
lot
it
better,
is
right?
when
But
you
all
are
three of my highs
on
are
the correct
inside of my
time frame,
triangle, and so we're good
your
here.
trend
Okay.
line
Over here on
and
the
your
left, if I
50
was drawing a
moving
triangle,
average will
right,
run
this would be acceptable
parallel.
because
Meaning,
every
like if
single
you were to
low
draw a
is
line
on the
on the
inside of my
50,
triangles on the left
right,
side.
you'll be able to
Inside just
see
means
that
left side of the
they're
triangle.
running
Okay.
parallel. In
So
this
that's how that
case, we could
works.
actually see
Now,
this is not
I know I
running
said this,
parallel,
right? You have
right?
the
They're
hypotenuse,
actually
you have the
going in
base, and you
there. You
have
can see this. This is
the height
widening,
of the
right?
triangle.
If this was to
Okay, so we
continue,
have
this gap would
our
just
height
widen.
here.
So this doesn't look right. The cool thing about ORS is there's an
We
art
got our
to it
base
with
right
the
here
triangle defense, and if
and our
this art
hypotenuse
piece
right here.
allows
So that's
us
the
to
hypotenuse side.
to
Here's
be
our
able to
base side.
visualize when things are off, right? Just by understanding the rules. And I could tell
Okay,
that this
so
is
go ahead
off,
and label all these
right?
base
Because of the way that this trend line is. So that one won't
and our
work.
height
What could work? Well, this one could work.
and our
How do we know? Well,
hypotenuse.
it's more in line with that 50 of our trend line. Our 50 moving average and our trend line are more parallel,
Okay,
right?
there we go.
And this right
So
here
these are the different
is
sides
what you
that
want
we
to
have.
see.
Now,
So we fast forward. Let me extend this.
what's happening here is
this
if you guys
becomes our
remember,
trend
the
line.
triangle defense is
And
is a price
ultimately,
trap.
the market is going to continue in the direction
It's a
of that
price trap.
trend
And
overall
what we're doing is
until
we're boxing price in.
it
And we want it to
reaches a
eventually
level
hit a wall,
it cares
our
about,
base,
like that,
and break out of the trend
and
line
then
side, the
begins to come
hypotenuse. We
on
want
out
it to
of
break
it,
out.
right? Breaking
Okay.
outside of
Now,
our trend
it's
line.
really a three-step
Okay.
process to confirm
So
that
when I
price
said
direction has changed. And there's a
ultimately,
three-step process that I want to
we don't need to
remind you
know
of and introduce
exactly
to others.
what it is. Is it an impulse or a correction? We don't
The very first
have
thing
to
that
know
we're trying to
exactly
accomplish is
what
we're
it
trying
is.
to have a respect
We really just
of
have to understand
horizontal
initially,
structure.
right?
Okay.
That, you know what?
And
My
that's our
first goal
baseline.
is
And
to
that's why the
simplify the
strong area
market.
supplier
And that's
demand
one of the things
matters.
that the triangle defense
You're
allows
going to
us to
really
do.
begin to
It allows us
understand
to
that the market
simplify the
doesn't
structure
care
and
about
simplify the market.
anything
So
else
we're able
other
to see here,
than,
hey,
right,
you know,
its
we're
areas
finally
or
on the
its
other side
levels
of
or
this
its
trend
prices.
line, right? We
Okay,
can
doesn't
see
care about our
right
double
in here,
bottoms, our
our
double
CJ
tops,
came
doesn't
on,
care about our CJ
okay,
entry,
and we
doesn't
begin
care
to
about our
push up.
impetus breaks,
Now,
doesn't
what about
care
this
about head and
cross?
shoulder
Let me
patterns,
draw your
right?
attention
Doesn't
here.
care
What about this
about any
cross?
of those things.
Did this cross
Excuse me,
matter? Well,
consistently, time and
no, it
time
wasn't in the
time
direction
again,
of the
all the
trend.
market shows
So
us is that it cares
you're
about its
supposed to
prices.
cross. What would have
Okay,
been a
and
problem
so
is if
the
this thing
thing that
crossed
we're
up and then
waiting for
crossed
is for
back
the market
down
to reach a
while we were
price it
still
cares
inside the
about.
triangle.
Okay,
But it
and when
actually
it does,
crossed
it's
up
going to
20
respect
above the
that
50
level, and so it's the
on
respect
its
of
way
the
out, which is
horizontal
fine. We had to
structure
cross
that we're
down
looking for.
outside, but that doesn't
The
matter
next
because
thing
that
that
was
we're looking for
outside
is the
and the market
disrespect
didn't
of
make another
diagonal
low.
structure.
Okay.
What
Didn't
is
make
the
another
diagonal
low.
structure? Well, the
So
diagonal
this
structure
was cool.
is our
Now,
trend
how
line
far is
right
this
here.
going to go up?
So
Well,
we want to
it
disrespect this
depends. Was
diagonal
this a
structure.
correction or an
Okay,
impulse?
disrespect
And I would
means
say
that we
that this
break
right
through it.
here
Okay,
was more
respect is that we don't
of
break through
a,
things. So
if
we
we
want
can
to
look here,
disrespect
At this
our
point, we'd
diagonal
say this
structure.
one felt more
And then
impulsive. Why?
we want to
Well, the
do one more thing
previous
to confirm
move
that we're
was
done.
here, and this is how you begin to
Disrespect
understand a part
of
of what's
horizontal
happening.
structure. Okay. Now
What
let's
happened
define
here?
this a little
Where
bit
was the
more. So
beginning of this up move?
horizontal structure,
Well,
this is going to be
it was
supply
either
or
here,
demand.
right,
Okay.
with
This
this,
right here
or
is
it was
going to
here
be
with this.
our trend line.
Either way, the fact that this went lower like this lets us know that that wasn't a that
We are waiting for you.
this wasn't if this was our impulse, right? Uh, if basically this isn't corrective because it exceeded the impulse. Let me explain that differently. So impulse, right? Market moves up. A correction can come all the way back, come back to zero, but it can't go further than that, or else it's not a part of the correction on the basic rules. Okay, we're sticking to the basics for now. It's not a part of the correction if it goes below. So what this is telling us by us looking at the previous trend, what we see right here, this was our previous trend. The fact that this went down below any of those starting points, even if it was here, which wouldn't work, but you could see this, okay, this is not a correction because it went past any of the starting points. So this lets us know this is more impulsive potentially. Now, I don't want to get too ahead of myself because you can have an impulse wave that is a part of a correction. But for now, let's just deal with this. So if I was going to, and here's the cool thing about this, is if you were going to take a trade out of this, one of the things that would be important to know, right? One of the things that would be important to know is to know what type of triangle you're trading. Now, since this just made a lower low, we're going to just, for now, assume that this is the beginning of an impulse, which what we would expect is that whatever came out of this, we're looking, when you understand the type of triangle you're trading potentially, then you're looking for your targets differently. And this is the important piece of this. We're looking for our target to be somewhere in between the high and the low. And this is where really, if you do take that CJ right in here, you have to have a vision, right? A vision for something that could get in your way along the way of here. Where are the strong levels? Well, for me, I see strong levels for sure right here. This right here for me is definitely a strong level, right? This is in my way right in here. Anything else a strong level that's in my way, I'd say this, right? This is in my way. Okay, that's in my way. Any other strong levels in my way? Well, I definitely say this right here is in my way. Okay. These are areas that are in my way. If I was going to take a buy, I would be targeting these areas. And you could see taking that buy out of here, right, allows me to actually exit at an area, right, that makes sense. Notice if this was my take profit, this would have been an excellent exit. Why? Because we were able to discern with the way that the market just moved, right, putting it together, that this was potentially an impulse. Okay. Now there's some other factors and things that are in play, but for now, let's just leave it like that. This allowed me to, if I was to take that CJ, no, you know what? I'm not trying to hit a home run. I'm expecting the market to be retracing from this high to this low, retracing in here. We're retracing. We're looking for the market to retrace. Okay. Looking for the market to retrace, not for it to go and make a new high necessarily. At least not yet. Okay. Not yet. So that was cool. Now, what about what happened over here? Well, let's see if we can find the trend. So we can see right here, the market, we needed to have the what? The one, the two, and the three, like this. Okay. Now, when we come over here, what we're going to do is the same thing. We're going to identify the high and we're going to identify the low. Now, we're going to identify the time for this. So 4 didn't work because we had one cross down, had another cross. Look right here, 5 doesn't work. How about 6? 6 looks good to me. One cross, no other cross. So here we are. Okay. How am I drawing it? It looks good. I got a high here. My highs are here. All my highs are on the inside of my triangle. So this looks good to me. Now, guess what? This now, right? What type of triangle is this about to be? Is it impulse or correction? Well, where's the low? The low is here. So if we break out of our triangle prior to breaking this, then there's a possibility that this is going to be corrective right here because this is our low, this is our high. And if we retrace and break out of that without going lower, then that shows us that maybe this was impulsive, this was corrective. See, the cool thing about this, like I said, is when you understand the rules, you could have the proper expectations. So now when this actually broke up with the news, what would have been the expectation? That we would move higher than here. So what would have been a great target right here to come up off of this low and to trade to here? Now, could it go higher? Yeah, absolutely could go higher. But that would have been the expectation. Why? Because this low right here, right? This low before breaking out of the triangle did not go below this low. So it let us know that we were trading this was corrective. Okay? This was corrective. This was impulsive. Okay? That's one of the cool things about it. You're able to ahead of time already kind of determine what you're going to do. This next area would have been a high that was here. Why would we go here and not here? Well, remember that we're expecting after a correction for the market to go higher. So where would my next area be? Right here. This for me would have been definitely, if I was trading the news, right there. If I had been awake, that would have been it right there. Awake and prepared. I was still in the bed, giving myself a pep talk like, all right, Chuck, time to go. Let's get this. But you could see right here, this pushed up to that next level right in there. Now, the cool thing is that it did it again, and I saw that too. I just I just can't focus on um I can't focus on trading right now and lecturing. I can teach like if we were in class, like during live trading, I could do that. But I can't lecture and trade. Not that skilled yet. So Same thing happened here. You can see here that we pushed down, right? Did we make a lower low? No. So coming up out of this triangle, right? What could we expect? For the market to move higher than the other high. That's the cool thing about it. Once you start to get this down, you start to build your expectation, right? So because we went like this and then we didn't come back below, the expectation is that when we break out of this movement here, that we're going to move at least to the high, but usually higher. So you just trade to that next level. Okay. Now, what about this triangle? How would this triangle have been? Well, we can see here's the beginning. Here's the end, right? You always identify the beginning and the end of where you are. Let's put our trend line on. Can I do it like this? Nope, because not all my stuff is on the inside. What about here? Nope, that wouldn't work. Okay, what about this? Nope, that wouldn't work because that's on the outside. So you got to pay attention to where all of your highs and lows are at. So everything needs to be on the left side. So this looks good to me. Okay, this looks great to me. Now, from the time of the beginning to the end, I need to have one cross in the direction of the trend. Do I have that? Yep, on this time frame I have it. 30-second, no. So I have a cross down, cross up, cross down, two crosses in the direction of the trend. That won't work. Let's go back to that 45-second. There we go. So we need to have that in the lowest time frame. Remember, the lowest time frame is key, right? Because this would have worked too. Now, why is the lowest time frame key? Okay. The lowest time frame is key because you want to be able to act as soon as possible. Okay. And if you don't get your time frames right, then all the things will happen later. Remember, we talked about one of the disadvantages of trading with indicators is the lag. So I want to show you. We basically got the volume for the buy right in here. We got the cross for the buy right in here. We got the 2050 cross right in here. So all of those different things are occurring right over here. Now, if we were to wait, and let's do this on maybe the 1 hour, I want you to see how much further behind, or the 1 minute we were. We're a whole candle behind for a lot of these different things. Look at where the CJ came on this candle, right? Versus on the correct time frame, it came on this candle, which means you could have been riding up, right? Riding up for those, dang, 28 pips, 29 pips in 1 minute. Is the market really moving like that? Dang. On EU? That's crazy. Man. Ah, man. Dinner's being served. All right. Shoot. All right. That's fine. Um, See, I hate missing easy trading. Easy trading, missing that hurts my heart because sometimes when I'm on, it's like market, it's like either sleep or doing some other stuff. Easy trading, that hurts. That's good, right? But very simple. Okay, you could see how this trade, right? Very, very easy because you understand the triangle. It's just patience. What's the timing? Will we just let the triangle figure itself out? Let the market get on out of there, and then we're gonna go. Okay. But understanding what type of triangle you're trapping is going to be key because in this case, right, we were expecting it to move up. Okay. Move up. And your charting is so important, right? Your charting is so, 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 so important. Now, the cool thing that's happening right now is I got two structures here. Let's go to actually keep this here, duplicate. I need to go to a blank boy right in here so we can see this. This is a bit interesting, right? I have no idea at the moment what the market is doing here. But what I can do is I can identify the beginning and I can identify the end. And because of that, if I go through my rules, one cross down, no other crosses, too many crosses in the right direction, right? Too many crosses in the right direction, too many. I'm able to simplify this, right? Able to simplify the structure. Too many crosses. We're getting closer, right? So you're already noticing something. If you have too many crosses, right, you need to go higher. If you don't have enough crosses, then you need to go lower, right? That's how that works. So here we are, 90 minutes it is. So here we are, boom. Now, do I need to worry about this high? No, because it hasn't made a new low. So just the highs that make new lows are the ones that you worry about, okay? This one from here hasn't made a new low. So we're here, and this simplifies everything. If we're able to get the pillars back on this side, then we know what we're going to do. And the question would be, what type of triangle is this? Well, because this is our high and our low, this would be corrective because we can see that it broke out of the triangle prior to coming in and making a new low. Okay. So this would end up being corrective. So then what would we expect? Market to move higher, move up to maybe one of these other levels. Okay. And that's if we move up. Now, the cool thing about this is because of everything, we can set some alerts here, right? Because we're on the right time frame, we can actually set some alerts here. And this right here becomes a level that we want to know about, right? The market closed above that level. I'd want to know about that. Otherwise, it's going to continue to the downside, right? Now, this right here, impulse up, correcting back, impulse up. This is its own triangle, okay? This is its own triangle. And so far, right? So far, it has not gone higher than here. If this was our move down, and if we don't go higher than that, then what's the expectation? That when we come out, we're going to go lower, right? And this is the cool thing about the triangles. Once you actually box things up, you can then begin to analyze this thing in a way that allows you to to really, really, really figure this out, right? You have your levels, right? Here's our level. And if we come up out of there, right, then we're gonna and we get back up here, we're going up. If not, then we're coming down. Okay. Let's figure out the time frame for this. So we got one cross. I don't have any crosses, so that's not gonna work. I need to go down. When you don't have enough crosses, you go down. No cross in the direction of the trend, I gotta go down. No cross in the direction of the trend, I gotta go down. One cross in the direction of the trend. This looks good. One cross up, two crosses. So we went too low. So 30-minute it is. So this is 30-minute and this one's 90-minute. Now, it can help if you begin to um give yourself labels, right? Shout out to Mary Box. She's excellent at labeling these time frames. So I'm terrible at labeling, right? Terrible. Um, so you could label it so you could stay organized, so you know the different time frames for the different things that you're doing, right? You could put on the outside. I know Mary likes to put hers right in the middle, right? Inside of the area, right? Customize it however you want. This right here, 30. So labeling helps things out in a major way. Labeling it will help you out in a major way. Okay. So this guy's 30. This one's 90. So it's cool because now we can start to set some alerts, right? We could set some alerts on some things, right? This is cool. Now, um, when we come in on Thursday, I'm going to focus in on really this triangle defense and price zone. Okay. Price zone and how that goes into hand in hand with the impetus levels, our CJ, right? We're gonna talk a bit about that. Something I normally do in its own series, but we're gonna bring it into this boot camp, okay? Because it'll be important. But the cool thing that I want us to see is how this is able to help us really figure out what we want to do next, okay? Right? By asking ourselves, is it impulsive or corrective? And a part of that is really coming from the other the other side, what the market did previously, okay? What the market did previously. Now, with the two types of triangles, okay? One of the things to look for, they typically will look different as well. Okay. One of the things that you'll notice with your impulse, okay. One of the key things that you'll notice with your impulse, and I'll go into more detail in the next session as we talk about price zone, but it's the location of your high that made your low that made the highest high, or your high that made the lowest low, right? It's basically what I call the impetus level, and we'll deal with that more later, okay? If I can't remember if I've said that word yet in this series, but if I haven't, now I am, right? Our impetus level is a key structure level that we're going to work on in our next session, okay? But this impetus level is the location of your impetus level really does show up differently in impulses versus corrections. And one of the things that you'll be able to do is you'll be able to draw Fibonacci. Okay. And one of the things that you'll see when you draw Fibonacci on your trend is where that impetus level lies. Okay. Typically, the impetus level of an impulse is going to land above the 50%. So you can see here when asking ourselves, what type of triangle is this? Well, where's our impetus level? Our impetus level right now is sitting above the 50%. So this most likely is impulsive. Okay. What about over here? This correction. Well, let's look at it. Now, with the correction, it will typically be above 50% and quite often 61.8 and above. Okay. And this is one of the biggest things that you'll see. When you see this for sure is corrective. It's not even a question, right? Because of where this is at. So if it was like down here, then this is maybe an impulse. But the fact that it's sitting above the 50% and it's sitting above that 61.8 as it was just a second ago, and now is again, this right here is corrective. So let me show you on the chart. Okay. So let's look at this guy right here. Okay. Let's come over here. Okay, let's find the correct time frame. Where's the correct time frame? It's going to be right. What do we say? 7, 6. All right, right here. Okay. Now that we're on the correct time frame, let's draw our triangle. Boom, boom, boom. Let's come over here before we broke out. Okay. So here's our triangle. We're going to ask ourselves, where is the impetus? Well, the impetus is here. Okay. But someone may ask, why is it here and not here? I'm sure you might be asking, why not here? Well, the cool thing about being on the correct time frame is when you're on the correct time frame, you're actually able to see one of the characteristics of the impetus, right? And where it should be is that the impetus should be touching your trend line, right? That's one of the things. It should be one of the highs that's touching your trend line. Okay. So could I have drawn the trend line like this? Um, this. Yep. Now, would it be parallel with the thing? Parallel-ish, but I'd say this one is running more parallel, right? We can see that it's kind of running like this versus running like this down, right? So that's just that art piece, right? So, but I could technically draw it like that. Now, for me though, I wouldn't. I would draw it like this, just like I did right here. Okay. And for me, this would be the correct time frame. Now, here's the thing about it. When you're on the correct time frame, your high that you're considering, which would be here, this is the only high. We got this high and we got this high. Okay, so the question is, which one is it? The high that you're considering should be coming off of a 50 moving average, meaning the market should be touching the 50. Okay. Right here, it's touching the 20. And right here, it did touch the 50. Market went up, hit the 50, came down. So the question between which one is the right high comes from, are you touching the 50 or the 20? And in this case, this one was touching the 50. We can see our tool is sitting here too. Also another confirmation at times and we're good to go, right? So that's our potential impetus. So now what we need to do right here is we need to do that last check. We just said, how do you know if something's corrective? Well, your impetus level, right, or an impulse, your impetus level on an impulse will be low. Your impetus on a correction will be higher, above the 61.8 or 50%, right above the goal zone. And we can see here that it actually is. And so this right here is a correction. And so another reason to have expected when this market, when the news came out to move higher, right? See another confluence that would have been good to just press buy because you would already seen it. It was already ready, right? Already showing us that this was going to be an impulse. A new impulse coming out of that. Okay. So one of our tips, like we said, is you're going to draw your your Fibonacci. Okay, your Fibonacci is going to help you understand or your impulse or your correction. And what we're gonna do, we'll lay them out, right? Try to put all of the little tips together on like a little cheat sheet. And you want to keep this in your mind. You want to study this, keep this top of your mind, right? It can't be last. A lot of times I'm watching you guys trade, it's the last thing you're thinking about. Oh, yeah, I forgot to do that. Right? Can't. It's critical. Details matter. Okay. You can't trade a detailed system sloppy, right? When you do that, you're gonna get the results of it, right? It just doesn't work like that. Are there different approaches to trading this? Yeah, but you can't, even when you trade it more light, when I say more light, meaning you don't do as much, you still have to follow the details very very like the rules of even like if I'm trading it more casually or being like super duper precise, it's still you can't break rules, right? Those rules are gonna matter either way, right? And we'll get into it more later. But that's it for today. That's it for today. This makes me just when the market is easy like this hurts a bit, but it's okay. Tomorrow morning we got Mr. Hazlitt. Let me see. Kyle Chuck doesn't matter to use either the wick or the wicks matter. You guys are gonna use the wicks. Kyle was Ontario in the building. What if it's a new candle? How do you respond to that? News candle. Uh, Give me that question later. So news candles are important, but it just depends. So, like you see, this is a news candle, but it's mostly body, right? That other one was a news candle, was mostly body. This right here is probably a news candle, right? But it has heavy wick. For this, I would pay attention to closes. So when you have our news candles, you want to pay attention to closes. So the highest close was right there. So, you know, I would exclude this because I don't there's no need for me to adapt. I can this right here, if I draw everything's still on the inside except for this random news candle. And it's not even the highest close, right? See, it's not even the highest closing candle. So everything's still good in there. We'll call it a day. Um, so yeah, when the news candles kick in, they're like really just random wicks, but they have like the closes are not there, then it doesn't matter. When the closes are there, you want to really include it, right? I'm trying to look to see if there's any other real big news candle. 90 minute is actually hard to see news candles because it like here, another one. You can see how this is like way up in the sky. I wouldn't care about that, right? Because one is like the structure is here. This is the structure. We got the high, the low, right? This is the structure. So all that news stuff that happened in there when we turn the lights off, turn the lights down low, right? Get all that extra noise out. It's ultimately just looks like this. So that doesn't really matter. We would act like that never even happened, right? And go from there. So I wicks matter. News wicks don't matter as much, especially when the closes don't support it. Okay. If the close doesn't support it, then ignore it. And then what was the name of the more detailed series? It was the Mastering the Triangle Defense. So if I go over to let's go over here. I can come over here, huh? Right here, 216. It is a big boy though. I warn you in advance. It's a very big boy. Um, like it's a big boy. It's a series that we taught for probably a couple months. So it's a for real big boy. So don't expect to knock it out in a day or so. It's I think it's 25 sessions. It's a lot, but just take your time. Take your time. It's not as important. Like I said, I wouldn't rush into that. I'd focus more on what I'm doing right now and making sure this is tight before going into that. I would say it's really uh, more so on the advanced level, but it will get you there. But I would say if you're not doing some of the first things that we're talking about, then don't even worry about trying to watch that. All you're doing is though you wanna be active on the charts, touching this, playing with this. You don't want to be stuck in lecture time. Okay, you got to use it. Most of us is not it's not the knowledge that we don't have, it's the knowledge that we do have that we're not applying. Okay, that we're not applying. So don't worry about it too much yet for most of you guys. Okay. And you're welcome, Valley. Shout out to Valley, our student of the month. And thank you guys. Elvis in the building as well.